Okay, so I better tell you some of my story. So I'm a single dad of two fantastic kids, 7 and 5. So how did I get there? Oh, what, 6 years ago, I was on top of the world. We had everything. My wife Marion and myself, we lived in Northern Ireland. Had one young child, Aoife, who was just over a year at the time, and my wife was pregnant with our second child, and things couldn't be better. I suppose everyone has certain points in their lives where they just feel they're in ecstasy, and that was the moment. I'll never forget, there was a day we were actually out, it was Mother's Day, we were out in a typical fair out in Mornpoint, and we just looked at each other and said, wow, will it ever get better than this? So unfortunately that was the top of a cliff, I suppose, which we didn't realise was around the corner. Out, I suppose, 2 or 3 days later, my wife felt a lump on her neck, and one of these things, she was pregnant, a lot of things go on, so we didn't think much of it, but went to the doctor anyway, and immediately the doctor was worried that it was something more serious. So unfortunately it turned out that she actually was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, stage 4. It's one of these cancers that unfortunately aren't caught until it's usually quite advanced. So she was 32 weeks pregnant at the time, and it was, I mean, literally our world just crumbled in front of us. Suddenly we went from, as I say, the perfection to disaster. I mean, we were looking down saying, well, what do we need to do now? So the next step was basically the baby had to be born. Connor was, thanks to God, was delivered safe and sound, and then to start her treatment. So the treatment was hell. It was, I mean, there's no other way of putting it. It was just, I mean, literally living from day to day, going from hospital to hospital, unfortunately with 2 young children, trying to balance treatment with chemo and 2 young children. It was just a blur, the whole thing. But we got through it, every battle we just took one day at a time, each battle at a time, and just got through it. Unfortunately, went on for about 6 months, like I said, and unfortunately she passed away at the end of the 6 months. I mean, then of course, it's hard to talk about actually. So anyway, at the end of the 6 months she passed away, and then I was like literally, like, I don't know, just lost. I didn't know where to turn. I thought, what do we do now? I mean, it's something you never prepare for. You always worry about the things that never actually you should worry about. This was just unimaginable. So I was living in Northern Ireland at the time, and I really just didn't know what to do. So there I was, living in Northern Ireland, 2 young kids, single dad. I mean, I didn't know how to turn on the washing machine, and I might look after 2 kids. And after speaking to friends and family, they just said, look, just settle, it'll come natural to you. And sure enough, I suppose I just first of all said, well, okay, how do I use the washing machine? And then bit by bit, one step at a time, just got into that new way of life. A lot of support, obviously, from family and from work and friends. Yeah, amazingly, despite all my doubts, I survived. I actually got through it. Like, it was terrible trauma, and it was unimaginable. You're trying to deal with the grief and deal with a young baby and young child and keep the whole thing going, but I did. So then I decided the right thing to do was to move closer to my family who were still in Cork, and luckily very, very close to them. So I moved to Cork, and it was like starting your life again. It was like trying to build your life as whatever age I was, 37, 38, start my life again from scratch. So I guess I had to get established, buy a house, organise childcare, get my daughter into a preschool, all the stuff you sort of take for granted that you build up over time. I had to do over the course of a couple of months to get established back in Cork. But with the help of friends, it's amazing. It just literally just step by step got through it. So I mean, there was so many small little things then, that you had to struggle with. Which I managed most of the practical things, but having a little, she was 3 at the time, just trying to, the day-to-day stuff, like she had a big head of curls, just trying to get the hair organised, and as a boy you never have to worry about hair, at least your own hair anyway. So we were going to this concert, and she was on the stage with all dressed in white, And anyway, so I decided, okay, got to get this hair sorted, and tried it as I may. Could not get this hair into any sort of shape at all. So what am I going to do? Down the street, there's the hairdresser from us. I said, oh, that's what I'll do. Go to the hairdresser, get the hair done, and everything will be fine. So down I went anyway, and the hairdresser was very amusing. You know, I just wanted to get the hair in some shape that it could go out. So she stood with me, made me try and put in this French plait, or whatever it was called, and between the two of us, and we got it started. Great, that's it. We're done and dusted. Back to the house, quick, get the top on her, and just literally put the top over her head and pull the tooth out, and blood down on top of the top. Just nightmare. Inside out, back to front, whatever way I could get the stains, and we got there. So for everyone, I mean, everyone goes through life, has traumas. I'm sure people look at my story, they think, oh my God, it was me, I would never survive. But people do. It's amazing how, people go through so much trauma, different deaths, physical injuries, all this, but you have this strength inside yourself that you get over stuff. You actually manage, you adapt to life, whatever it is, whatever challenges you face, and you survive. Everyone gets through it.